Hey there. You've been digging into some really cool stuff lately, how brands are using psychology to totally nail their advertising game on social media.
Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating stuff,
Oh,
really.
absolutely. Once you start noticing these tactics, it's
Yeah.
like you've unlocked a secret code. It's fascinating to see how companies tap into our deep-seated desires and motivations, even when we think we're just casually scrolling.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We've got this awesome collection of case studies,
Okay.
all in Spanish,
Wow.
called Estudios de Caso en Redes Sociales. Aplicación de Principios Psicológicos en Publicidad.
Wow.
It breaks down how big names have used these psychological principles to get huge results.
I think what's really eye-opening about these case studies is that they showcase a shift in how brands are approaching marketing. It's not just about broadcasting a message anymore. It's about creating genuine connections and experiences.
Okay, let's jump right in with Nike. They totally crushed it on Instagram and their secret weapon. They ditched the perfectly polished ads and embraced something way more powerful.
Of real people.
It's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
They tapped into that deep-seated human need to belong. We're wired to follow the crowd, especially when it's a crowd we want to be a part of. Nike cleverly leveraged that by showing you that their brand is for everyone, not just elite athletes.
So instead of just using your typical supermodels,
Right.
they partnered with a diverse group of everyday athletes and influencers on Instagram, and they encouraged them to be themselves. No airbrushing, no fancy studios, just authentic, relatable content.
It's like they were saying, hey, we're not perfect and neither are you,
Yeah.
but that's okay. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And that message really resonated with consumers, especially younger generations who are increasingly skeptical of anything that feels fake or inauthentic.
And you know what? It totally worked.
Yeah.
Nike saw a 30% jump in engagement. Likes, shares, comments, which is huge in the world of social media.
Huge.
It proves that people respond to realness. Think about it. When you see someone you admire who looks like you and lives a life you can relate to using and loving a product, it makes you way more likely to want to try it too, right?
Totally. Yeah.
That's the power of social proof in action.
Now let's talk about Starbucks. They've practically turned their pumpkin spice latte, or PSL, into a cultural phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
And it all boils down to a clever use of psychology scarcity. They only offer it for a limited time each year, and they make sure everyone knows it.
Think about how you feel when you know something's not going to be around for long. It suddenly becomes way more desirable, right?
Oh, yeah.
Starbucks knows this. They've turned the PSL into an annual event, a limited time treat that you almost have to experience to be part of the cultural conversation.
And they fuel the hype even more with all kinds of shareable content on Facebook, memes, graphics, you name it.
Yeah.
They know people want to show off that they're in the know, that they're part of the PSL season.
It's not just about the drink itself. It's about the experience, the feeling of belonging,
Yeah.
the social currency. And it works like a charm. Every year, like clockwork, the PSL craze takes over social media, and Starbucks reaps the rewards: increased sales, tons of free publicity, and a reinforced sense of brand loyalty.
Speaking of brand image, let's talk about Airbnb.
Okay.
Remember a while back when they were facing a lot of criticism, concerns about their impact on communities, especially on housing affordability? Well, they managed to completely shift public perception, and Twitter played a big role in that.
This is a fantastic example of the halo effect in action. When we associate a brand with positive qualities,
Yeah.
it creates a halo effect, making us view them more favorably overall, even if there are some negative aspects. Think about it. If a brand champions a cause you care about, you're more likely to trust them, right?
So Airbnb went on a charm offensive on Twitter, showcasing their commitment to sustainability in local communities. They highlighted stories of eco-conscious hosts, people who are really invested in making a positive impact. And they did it in a way that felt genuine, not forced.
They really leaned into the idea of shared values. They used testimonials and hashtags like hashtag Airbnb Sustainable and hashtag Apoya Local, building a community around their commitment to responsible travel. It was really smart. They gave people a reason to feel good about choosing Airbnb.
So they took what could have been a PR nightmare and spun it into a positive, attracting a whole new segment of travelers who are looking for experiences that align with their values.
It's a great example of how a brand can leverage social media to not just sell a product, but to build a movement.
Okay, now let's talk about GoPro. They've turned user-generated content into an art form, and YouTube is their gallery. Have you ever noticed how their videos just make you want to drop everything and go on an adventure?
It's not an accident. They've absolutely nailed the art of emotional association. By showcasing those breathtaking videos of extreme sports and adventures all shot with their cameras, they've linked GoPro with the thrill of the experience itself.
So it's not just a camera you're buying, it's a passport to a whole lifestyle. The feeling of freedom, pushing boundaries, living life to the fullest. And you can bet they know exactly what they're doing.
Think about how you react to those videos. You see people doing incredible things, capturing it all with a GoPro, and you can't help but feel a surge of excitement, maybe even a little bit of envy. And that's what makes you want to grab a GoPro and go create your own adventure.
And the genius part is, they're not even the ones creating most of this amazing content. They've built a passionate community of fans who are out there doing incredible things and sharing it all with the world, all while giving GoPro tons of free advertising. Talk about a win-win.
It's a brilliant strategy. They've essentially turned their customers into brand ambassadors, and those ambassadors are creating some of the most compelling marketing materials out there.
Yeah. All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about a slightly different approach. The University of Toronto wanted to boost enrollment in their very specialized AI and data science programs, and they decided to turn to LinkedIn, of all places, to do it. Why LinkedIn, you ask? Well, they knew their target audience professionals looking to level up their careers were already hanging out there.
It's all about meeting your audience where they are. And for a university targeting working professionals, LinkedIn is a goldmine. It's not just about posting a job opening, it's about establishing yourself as a thought leader, a trusted source of information.
So how did they do it? They went all in on the principle of authority. We tend to trust information from sources we perceive as experts, right? So the University of Toronto set out to prove that they were the experts in AI and data science.
They did a phenomenal job of showcasing their faculty, highlighting all those impressive credentials and years of industry experience. It was like, hey, want to learn from the best in the field? This is where you need to be.
And they didn't just stop at bragging about their professors. They backed it up with real-world examples, sharing success stories from alumni videos of graduates landing awesome jobs and making a real impact in their fields.
Nothing builds trust like seeing proof that something works. When you see people who have gone through the program achieving their goals, it makes you believe you can too.
They even hosted live webinars on LinkedIn, giving potential students a chance to interact directly with faculty and get a taste of what the program was really like. It was a smart way to build excitement and generate leads.
Webinars are such a powerful tool. They position you as an expert, provide valuable information to your audience, and give you a chance to connect with potential customers in a more personal way.
And of course, they knew a little bit of scarcity wouldn't hurt, so they offered early enrollment discounts to create that sense of urgency. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity.
It's a classic tactic, and it works. When we think something might be unavailable soon, we're much more likely to take action.
And guess what? Their strategy paid off big time. They saw a 25% enrollment increase, their brand authority in the AI field skyrocketed, and they got tons of engagement on LinkedIn.
It's a textbook example of how to use social media effectively. They identified their target audience, chose the right platform, crafted a compelling message, and backed it up with social proof and a touch of scarcity.
So we've seen how Nike uses social proof. Starbucks leverages scarcity. Airbnb embraces the halo effect. GoPro nails emotional association, and the University of Toronto establishes authority. What other psychological principles are brands using to subtly nudge us on social media?
Oh, there are so many more. Like reciprocity. Have you ever noticed how brands offer freebies like ebooks or discount codes in exchange for your email address or a follow? That's reciprocity in action. They give you something of value and you feel obligated to give something back.
Or how about loss aversion? We're wired to avoid losses more than we are to seek gains. That's why those limited time offer and while supplies last messages are so effective. They trigger that fear of missing out.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the power of anchoring. The first piece of information we see often sets the standard for how we evaluate everything that follows. So if a brand starts by showing you a high price and then offers a discount, that discounted price suddenly seems like a steal.
I've definitely fallen for that one a few times. It's amazing how these subtle tactics can have such a big impact on our decisions.
It's all about understanding how our brains work and how to nudge us in a particular direction. And the more aware we are of these tactics, the better equipped we are to make informed decisions.
It's like we're playing a constant game of mental tug of war with these brands.
Yeah.
They're trying to persuade us.
Right.
And we're trying to stay one step ahead.
I like that analogy. It's a game we can win, but only if we know the rules. The more we understand these psychological tactics, the better equipped we are to make conscious decisions, not just react to cleverly crafted marketing messages.
So we've talked about the psychology behind the ads we see, but what about the other side of the coin? What about the stuff we choose to share on social media? Are we also influenced by these same psychological principles?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Why do you share certain things on social media?
Yeah.
Are you trying to present a certain image of yourself, connect with like-minded people, maybe spark a conversation or even a little friendly debate?
I know I'm definitely guilty of sharing things that make me look good,
Yeah.
or at least how I want to be perceived.
Right.
You know, the travel photos, the perfectly plated meals, the articles that make me seem super informed.
We all do it to some extent. It's human nature. We want to be seen as interesting, successful, witty, whatever it is we value. And social media gives us a platform to curate our own personal brand.
So in a way, we're all marketers.
Yeah.
Even if we're not selling a product or service, we're all trying to influence how others see us.
That's a really insightful point. It's like we're all participating in this giant social experiment, shaping and being shaped by the information we consume and share.
Which brings up an interesting question.
Yeah.
If brands are using psychology to influence our choices, and we're using it to shape how others perceive us, are we all just pawns in some grand marketing scheme? Where does genuine connection even fit into all of this?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a simple answer. But here's the thing. Even though these psychological tactics are being used all around us,
Right.
it doesn't mean that all marketing is inherently manipulative.
So how do we tell the difference between persuasion that feels authentic and manipulation that crosses a line?
I think it comes down to intent and transparency.
Okay.
Is the brand trying to create something genuinely valuable for you? Are they being upfront about their goals? Are they respecting your boundaries? These are all questions worth asking yourself when you're interacting with brands online.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Brands need to be ethical and transparent.
Right.
And we need to be savvy consumers aware of the tactics being used and making conscious decisions about who we trust and what we engage with.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between being persuaded and being informed.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We've learned how brands are using psychology to influence us on social media.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we've learned how to be more aware of these tactics and to make more informed choices as consumers.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up?
Here's something to think about. As you scroll through your feeds today, pay attention to the brands you follow and the content you engage with. Can you spot any of these psychological tactics in action? And what does that tell you about how those brands are trying to connect with you?
It's like a fun little game, right?
Yeah.
Once you start noticing these tactics, you can't unsee them. And it can actually be pretty empowering to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. It's all about being an informed and conscious participant in the world of social media. And who knows, maybe you'll even pick up some new tricks to use in your own personal branding.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of psychology and social media advertising. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.